Hello, hello. This is Mickey Wright, and I'm here with Beauty Superstars Talk. I want to welcome everyone. This is your backstage pass to experts in the beauty industry, and it looks like our guest is having just a little bit of technical difficulty, so he'll be here shortly. But I want to welcome everybody. If you're watching originally, while we're broadcasting live, and if you're watching on the replay, welcome, and invite you to subscribe to the channel, to the YouTube channel, and ring the bell so that you will have notification and be able to hear all of the exciting guests that we have and the stories that they want to share with you. And it looks like our guest is here. So I'm going to go ahead and add. Hi, Eric. You are on live. Can you hear me? Good, good, good. Great. So I'm just doing a little intro. So we're definitely glad to have you since you're our special guest tonight. And so one of the things that I like to share before we get started is just, how this whole thing came about, how Beauty Superstars Talk started. And it really was from the unfortunate murder of George Floyd and all of the racial tensions that erupted in our country. And it spilled over into the beauty industry, which many of us know is still one of the most segregated industries in the country. And I, through that experience, was able to be on a couple of calls, actually a couple like Zoom meetings, and be able to meet some people that I didn't know in the industry who were doing wonderful things, and some people that I did know. It's kind of an introduction, meet and greet, and people shared their experiences, some of them, somewhat painful through experiences in the industry, but nonetheless, they are excelling in their respective areas of the industry and really doing super amazing things. And I left the call feeling super inspired and like these stories have to be told. And I wanted to use my platform to be able to provide like a safe space for people to tell their own story, not to have anyone else narrate it or decide, this is what this person stands for, what have you. And so I'm super excited, just like we're continuing. This is Barber Month, and I have an exciting guest tonight. And it's like all month we'll be talking to various barbers, but Eric is here and really exemplifies barbering, I think, as at an excellent level. With the skills, the talent, being a great educator as far as being able to share with others exactly what he's able to do and been able to create. He's a barber shop owner. He's a national educator with Andis and travels the country. And I want to welcome him, and then I want to share a little bit about his bio. So welcome, Eric.
Hey, how's everyone?
Yeah, glad you were able to get on with us. I know this technology is wonderful, except when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all good. It's all good to go wrong, right?
exactly. Yeah, and one of the things I like to share is like how I know or don't know the guest that's on tonight. But it's like I remember meeting you back in Richmond, Virginia. I think it was Jermaine's show. I think you were part of the Barber competition and ended up winning the Barber competition. No surprise. I was already familiar with your work, and you were doing a lot of the artistry in the hair where you were actually creating faces and all kinds of amazing things. And so I'd seen your work and got to meet you in person that night. And I was just, I think, super impressed. And I don't know exactly what it was, but when you introduced me to your wife, it's like there was just something special about it. And I really, that really stood out to me. And so I'm excited for you to be here tonight and share about, mixing all of the success that you've had in the industry along with balancing family life. And so welcome again.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You're very welcome. So I want to share a little bit of your bio and we'll jump right in. So Eric Cheek is a successful barbershop owner, barber educator, and platform artist based in Charlotte, North Carolina. We got some North Carolina in the house tonight, yeah. And with competitive barbering victories years of practical experience, continuing education, and artistic eye, his barber and educator approach is incomparable. His experience has led him to further expand his reach in the industry, producing a line of instructional courses and online classes. Known for winning multiple competitions and being featured in the reality show Cedric's Barber Battle, hosted by Cedric the Entertainer, and winning his episode. Eric is also known for his intricate work that I was just referencing. And as a platform educator, Eric is approachable, easily understood, and full of practical knowledge. He's often invited to industry trade shows and events globally to share his breakthrough brand of artistry and education so that novice and experienced alike can uncover hidden gems and translate them into profit. So I absolutely love all of that. So
Cool.
Yeah.
I gotta salute my wife for putting that bio together. Of course.
She did a fabulous
job. She did a fabulous job. Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out to my wife. Yep.
Absolutely. And I always like to find out, like, how did you even get started in the industry? What was your background?
Well, my introduction to the Clippers was when I was 11, and I started cutting my own hair.
Okay.
And
wow.
We lived in the projects in Henderson, North Carolina, a place called Cedarhurst. And in Cedarhurst, there was this one guy named Corey Howard who was cutting hair, and he stayed pretty busy. And there was another guy by the name of David Harris in another neighborhood, who was kind of popular in the city at the time. And my mom took me to the barber shop, and she just, shout out to my mom, but she didn't cut my hair the way I wanted it. Let's just say that.
Okay.
And I said to myself, which I talk to myself a lot, if my hair is going to look like this, I might as well do it myself. And that's how it all got started.
Okay. Yeah. I absolutely understand that, especially around that age. It's like, okay, mom. It's like, okay, we love you, but
when you cut your son's hair and you're not a barber, you put a target on his back.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, my mom was a stylist, and she did our hair all through our lives. My sister and I are a couple years apart. And when we got to be about maybe 9 and 11 or 12 and 10 or something like that, we were like, well, Mom, we don't really like the way you do our hair. It's kind of, like it might be old fashioned or something. Yeah. And so she took us to a beauty school to get done. And Lord, if we didn't go running back, could you please do our hair?
That's what. Yeah. It could be like that sometime in school, sometimes.
Yeah. It's like we had some interesting experiences, to say the least. But, everybody's got to learn. No knocks to the schools, but we're definitely much more excited about my mom doing our hair.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, once you started cutting your hair, did you friends see your hair and say, "Oh, I like the way you do it, and can you do mine?"
That's it. Once one more person gets a haircut from you, it's a wrap. It takes off from there. And as weak as my skill set was at the time, because of the environment we lived in, it was enough for other people to be like, I want him to cut my hair,
Okay.
So that's how I kind of took off. And, as I got older, trying to find an identity and try to decide what I want to do in life. Ironically, a lot of people don't know this. Like my wife and I, we've been married for 20 years now.
Wow.
20 years. But we've been kicking it. We've been kicking it since we were 12 and 13.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people don't know that. And actually, when I'm trying to find myself, when I was about 17 years old, we were just kicking it. And I told her that I was thinking about going to barber school. Mm-hmm. And like she has always done, it wasn't no internet, but she found a barber school, gave me the number, and that's how I got into school.
Okay.
That's how it all started for me.
She wasn't entertaining a lot of conversation, huh? You got to put some action with it.
You got to put some work in there. Yeah. I'm gonna see what you're talking about. You for real? Let's go. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how it started. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. So then, take us into transitioning into becoming an educator, because I know you've been at all the shows.
Yeah, educating. I wouldn't have been able to tell anybody that I would have been an educator. You have many different learning styles on the planet. I personally believe there's more than 7. I think not. I'm sorry. What is it? The 4? However many learning styles they report. I believe there's more. And the way I learn is a little bit different. So it didn't really. I never got acclimated to school. I wasn't
Okay.
good in school at all. At all. Probably one of the worst to ever do it. So for me to become an educator, it didn't line up with who I was. But because of how I take in information and regurgitate information, it makes me a dope educator. You see what I'm saying? So as I learned my craft, went to the hair shows, sat at the feet of other barbers and stylists in the industry. My mother in the industry, Miss Short at Cheryl's University. Shout out to Cheryl's and Raleigh, Miss Short and the Short family. Under her tutelage, like I gained this information, and as I got older, I was able to regurgitate what I had taken in and give it to individuals in a simple way where it's really, really easy to understand. And that's part of my niche in the industry. Like I can teach anybody how to cut hair.
Okay.
I don't care who they are. If they want to learn, I can teach you how to do a fade and make it as easy as baking a cake. You know?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a wonderful skill set to have, because not everybody that is a good person technically knows what they're doing enough to be able to share it with someone else, or is able to break it down so that people can really, grab onto it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to answer your question shortly though, going to the Bronner Brothers show, competing, Ivan Zook seen me drawing a crowd in a corner, doing my haircuts. And he asked me one day, he said, "Hey man, you want to go on stage?" I was like, "Sure." He said, "Yeah, come on, because I need that crowd at my stage." And that was my first time on stage. And from there, I never came off. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's like you've got that magnetism, and when they watch you work. So were there things that you had picked up from the people, like you said, you were going to classes, going to shows and that type of thing, and really, kind of sitting with some of the folks that were your mentors, or sitting in crowds? Were there things that you picked up, like, oh, well, like that person, I don't like the way they do that, or, as far as teaching styles and stuff like that, or did it just kind of evolve naturally?
It kind of evolved naturally. I never really looked at anyone and said, I'm going to do it like this. Where I get, and this is tough for me, because where I get most of my magnetism from is me being myself. Sometimes, depending on what crowd you're in front of or what environment you're in, you can be tempted not to be yourself. But it's just better for me and the people listening to me if Eric Cheek can be Eric Cheek, and you don't put no pressure on me to try to not be me. Let me be me, and I can teach the people. You see what I'm saying? So my style just kind of developed on its own. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us about, like, dig a little deeper into that. Like, what are some of these situations where you may feel like tempted to not be yourself?
Oh man. Hey, so let me ask you this first, Mickey.
Okay.
Before we get started now, let's lay some ground rules down. Let's talk for a minute. How real, how honest can I be? You want me to be myself, or do I need to dial it down a little bit? Can I just, what we doing? Because I don't want to disrespect your show.
We're doing it real. We're doing it real.
So I've worked for several companies in the past, and just being honest, we know what climate we live in. There is a divide in the country. Some are aware, some are truly not aware, I believe, of the differences that are made and that's going on. And if you're not aware, it's because you don't have to deal with some of the things that others have to deal with. And there have been some shows that I've done, and like I said, I work for many companies, for certain companies, and they like to put me in front of the black crowd. They don't like me in front of them white folk, because I think the white folk that's listening to me love it, but the people who are running things are kind of scared of it, because like he's being a little too raw, but I've never got a bad reaction from the crowd. But I can see how somebody that's stuck in time mentally, that's running this show, would be like, don't put him back up there. Did you hear what he just said? Crowd loved it. I got my point across, but my culture is different. So, when you put me in front of other cultures and you're not familiar, it can come off a little intimidating. So, sometimes if you want to get a check, you might have to dumb it down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? In certain spaces. In some spaces, I can be me 100%, and the company loves it, the people love it, and I love it, and everybody's happy. So it all depends on who's in charge at the time.
Yeah. Well, keep it even more real. Just keep going, because it's like with the things that are existing in our culture, in our country, and then within the industry, like what's been your experience as far as what, anything that may have tried to hold you back, not only from being yourself, but from growing or developing in the way that you wanted to? Have you experienced any of that or no?
For me, growing the way I want to, nah. I've had some run-ins, like in the industry. I can't really think of a incident other than what I just shared in the industry, where I had to deal with any type of barriers when it comes to race. Other than that, what I just spoke about. Other than that, everybody has been pretty cool. I'm not an idiot. I know some things that went on behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? That I can't speak of because I wasn't aware, but I'm sure it happens, because I've seen it in other areas of my life. And I'm a firm believer in principles don't change. Situations change, but the principles stay the same. So whatever principle someone worked over here, just because of the color of your skin, you best believe is going on in another sector as well. You know what I mean? So right. I can't put my finger on it.
Okay. So are there any areas, while we're on the topic, as far as like seeing expansion for more artists of color, more Black artists?
I think so, because I think so because I believe that the world is changing. Even though it's still rough, the world is changing, and some of the younger people who are coming up and having these leadership roles don't really subscribe to some of the mindsets of their fathers and grandfathers. So I see that changing. I see our culture, Black culture or African American culture, is worldwide. Like, people love us and we love the people. So anybody with that screwed up mindset that I don't like you because of the color of your skin or because we're different, those people are going off the scene, So I think there will be a lot more space and room for people who look like you and I to take leadership roles and teach others and be free and be able to be ourselves as well. I think that's important, man, because like one of the questions, and I want you to answer this question for me, please. One of the questions I've been asking at the shop the last 2 weeks is, what percentage of your life that you are living is someone else's idea of who you should be?
That's a good question.
What percentage of your life that you're living is somebody else's idea of who you should be? And I think that's changing. I hope it's changing.
Yeah. It's one of those, I think, sticky areas, because it's like we're influenced so much by what we see and what we observe. We're influenced by, of course, our parents and different environments that we've been in.
Right.
And I've been doing some work myself with trauma and patriarchy, being a female in really a man's world. And the things that have come to the surface are that some of the decisions that I made are because I want to represent my race, like with going to college. It's like, I think, I felt at the time that more people, more Black people should get degrees, and, that my going would be part of it, but it wasn't necessarily like my sole decision as far as what I wanted to do.
Absolutely. And that's a great point.
Yeah. And so there's been so many different little things, even with, what I've done coaching wise, was because I had benefit of so many great mentors that it feels like I've got to pay it forward. But I was like, maybe paid some of that debt and I can shape my life in some different ways. So yeah, it's a good question.
Definitely hope you achieve whatever it is your heart desires to achieve. Absolutely. Yeah, well, you deserve it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sitting here doing it right now. So
there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this scarf. This scarf right here, this is something you may see an artist wear. You might see Cam Newton doing something like this, right? But this scarf, I put this scarf on even though It doesn't match anything. I wanted to wear it, right?
Right. Right.
Why would I want to wear it? Because Dave Lindsay gave me this scarf. He was murdered about 3 years
Mhm.
ago. That was a little brother of mine in the industry, And
Mhm.
he blessed me with this scarf, and he taught me a lot. And I wanted to represent him tonight. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? He
Yeah.
mean a lot to me, and he gave me this. I don't care who don't like my scarf. I wanted to wear
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. And I think that's part of being an artist, part of being an entrepreneur, that we get to do it, the way we want to do it.
I want to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about like the barbershop life. Like what made you open your salon, and how long have you had the salon you've had? I mean, not salon, but barbershop. And what's that
Well,
experience been like as an owner?
so, just keeping it very, very frank, like for those who are listening, like I never wanted to have my own business.
Mm,
Never thought about having my own business. I just wanted to go make my money every week, pay my booth rent, and go home. That's all I wanted.
mhm,
There was a Asian fella by the name of Mike, who was a real good friend of mine, who worked right beside us, who owned a nail salon. And he pulled me aside one day. He said, "Man, you should open up your own shop." And I said, "I don't want to do that." And he just kept saying it to me. And then one day I thought about it. I started playing with the numbers. I said, "I'm gonna give it a shot." Did it, had a shop for what, 10 years, and couldn't wait to close it. Couldn't wait to close it. And I did it by myself. My wife helped me get it off the ground, but I was the muscle in the shop every day that was
mhm,
running everything on the scene. My wife was behind the scenes, but it began to become too much for one person. Like, again, I wasn't good in school. I didn't understand business. All I was a young black man with energy and a talent and a clientele.
mhm,
Don't understand anything about business. So it was a recipe for disaster for me. So I said after we closed it down, I would only want to do another business if I had a team,
mhm,
because I understood the value of having a team. And so once I developed a team over the years and the opportunity presented itself, we embarked on it. So that was my play,
Okay.
And
Okay.
this play that we have now, the barbershop, is for other visions that we have. It's the
Mhm.
catalyst for other visions that we have. It's the foundation for other visions. And
Okay.
so you'll be seeing a lot more from Eric Cheek and his team at Blinsori and other areas.
Nice. Okay. Well, we can't wait.
Oh
We
yeah.
can't wait. Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about, just kind of the conversations that you guys are having, and, like around family and women and, everything. It
Oh, yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, take us inside the barbershop.
How real can I be? And listen,
Go for
so I have a unique position in the barbershop, in the barber industry as a whole. And I never jump to defend men just because I'm a man. I don't
it.
do that. You know what I'm saying? I try my best to defend what I believe or know is right.
Mm.
And after working in the barbershop for 22 years professionally,
Wow.
that's 66,560 hours
Whoa.
that I've been in the shop or behind the chair. Men have said some of the most ridiculous things about women, and these
Mhm,
ideas that we have about women. It's ridiculous. And I don't know and not all men. I don't want to generalize all men, but
mhm,
a great majority of the men that come in the barbershop have this idea about women that's false. It's it's horrific, the thoughts that they have and the things that they say. And I know it's because of a lack of education. I know it's because of marketing, the way women have been marketed in different areas of our lives, through music, through television. And my position in the barbershop is to create a new train of thought when it comes to women, black women in particular.
mhm.
I want to help promote a new train of thought. And so I deal with a lot of the biases that men have in the barbershop. And to give you a real quick example, this is one question that I ask men to make them think in the barbershop. let's say your mom and your dad are separated and they both living, and they separated, and you talk to your dad on the phone and you said, Dad, I'm coming to see you. You need anything from the store? And Dad said, yes, son, I want you to bring me some Pepsi, some paper towel, and bring me some condoms. Do you take your dad to condoms? I asked all the men in the shop. Yeah, I take my dad to condoms. What are you talking about? Yeah, I take my dad to condoms. Okay, you go see your mom, and your mom said, hey, son, I want you to bring me some paper towels, bring me some Pepsi, and I want you to bring me some condoms. Do you take your mom to condoms? Hell no, I ain't taking my mom no condoms. I wouldn't dare take my. What I look, mom, she better go get her own condoms. Like, so like, and there's the bias, because you'll do it for your father, but you won't do it for your mom, and your mom is a human. Your mom has an itch that wants to be scratched just like your father does. So there, my brother, is you making a difference between these two people. And they admit that they do it, but it's so deep down in them that it's like, I can't. I get what you're saying, but I can't take my mom no comments. And then I say, and then your mom asks you for some extra large magnums at that. That was a joke, Mickey. You were supposed to laugh.
I got it.
They don't like to hear that. I've seen guys brag about their son losing their virginity in the barbershop.
Right.
Like it's a great thing. But then if you act like what you celebrate for your daughter,
right?
If she lost her virginity, and there lies the bias. You see what I'm saying? And I don't believe in that. I think if you're going to teach your son about condoms, you should teach your daughter about condoms the same way. If you allow your son to move a certain way in life, if your daughter is that type of young lady and she likes to move that way, you should keep your mouth shut. That's how I look at it, because the biases will cause you to create a difference between men and women where it's not applicable, in my opinion.
Right,
so we deal with that in the barbershop.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's some differences, like in terms of biases or what have you. But then I'm a little bit old school as far as, like, I think that there kind of there should be like roles, not that you are subservient in terms of being a female, but it's like, I think relationships work better when people know kind of a little bit what their roles are, or they define them for themselves.
Right. And well, I think that defining them for themselves is important, in my opinion. I think if you just take on the roles that your father or your mother think you should play, I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
Let me share something with you real quick. One day, and I come up old school, which I don't subscribe to that mindset anymore. But my wife was as well. And one day my wife asked me, we were young, we were in our 20s, and she asked if she could cut her hair. Right. Think about what I just said. My wife asked me if she can cut her hair.
Right.
And I said, no. No, I don't want you to, right? then listen, then me with my arrogant behind go to a bike strip where it's like this block party, and this is beautiful young lady out there with a short haircut. Guess who comes home and suggests to their wife, hey, you can cut your hair if you like to, I think it'll be nice. And she goes, that season I'm passed up. I don't want to cut my hair now. And that's when it hit me. It hit me that, like, oh man, I just caused her not to have an experience because of what I'm thinking. So now she's not allowed to live her life. And I'm not cool with that type of control. So I don't want my wife to be no servant of no kind to me, not unless something that she just wants to do out of her heart. If it ain't, I'm not gonna make you do anything. I don't want that type of power.
Yeah. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. There's a lot of pieces, and it's a lot in the barbershop.
It goes down, man. It goes down in our barbershop, Mickey. Yeah. And I heard what you said. And I want to say this before we continue. I love to disagree, because disagreement promotes growth. So if there's an opportunity for us to disagree, let's go into that.
Okay.
Because it promotes growth. But this is something that I read, and you tell me what your thoughts are. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but it will be those who refuse to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And when I read that, it really hit me, because I was so stuck in my ways, but the world was showing me something else. You see, with my wife and my kids and my work. You see what I'm saying? So I had to make some adjustments.
Okay. So tell us about your kids. Like, what ages, boy, girls, what do you have?
Oh man, I have 2 boys, 2 girls. My boys are the bookends. My girls are in the middle.
Okay.
And at this time, they are 12, 14, 16, 18. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So you're all double digits.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. All the digits, yeah.
so, yeah, it's like we could probably have a whole conversation about the kids and differences with boys and girls and all that kind of stuff. But talk to
Yeah.
me as far as like you being a father and traveling on the road, owning a business.
Mm.
How do you balance it all?
I'm learning now. I've just caught on now, actually, Mickey. I struggled with it for so long, and I
Hmm.
was deceived for so long. It is a lot to share when it comes to that, but the reality is to keep it short and simple so that somebody can kind of take this and try to be better. I was a bad father. I was a horrible father and a horrible husband, and I thought I was good. I thought I was good, but I realized I was really making all the mistakes because, again, learn and unlearn and relearn. I thought that all I had to do as a father was provide and
Mm,
be in the same house with my kids, be in the same house with my kids and provide. I thought that was enough. And I thought my wife had the rest covered, right? And as time went on, I realized that my family inside my house had a relationship, a whole language, a whole dialect that I wasn't a part of. I didn't understand. And when I come home, it's like I'm a stranger in my own house,
mm-hmm,
and I would quickly get irritated because they're all laughing and chuckling at these inside jokes and having a good time, and I couldn't relate. They
mm-hmm,
looked at me as a stranger, and I didn't expect that. And the reason it was like that is because I wasn't there. And when I was there, I didn't make those moments count.
mm-hmm,
I got caught up in my selfishness. I was tired and I wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to hear anything. I wanted to get some rest. Y'all be quiet. And, so, and
mm-hmm,
what opened my eyes up was one day I was getting at my daughter and she said something to me and I told her thank you. She did something. I told her thank you and she didn't say you're welcome. And I said, baby, when somebody tell you thank you, you're supposed to say you're welcome. And she says, Dad, if I tell you you welcome, I'll be lying. And I said, hold up. Now you're being disrespectful. And my
mm-hmm,
wife says, no, baby, you being dismissive. And my wife looked at me and she said, baby, she don't know you. And when she said that, that's when it all hit. And I realized I had jacked up the last 14 years, working all the time.
mm-hmm.
So I've been working on correcting that for the last 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing
So
better. I'm doing better.
what's it
Mhm.
been like for you? Like what adjustments took place?
I had to tone it down. I stopped fussing. I stopped fussing. Period. I don't fuss at my kids anymore. I show a lot more tenderness. I show them a lot more love. I spend time with them. I make sure, even if I'm tired, if they drew a picture, if they doing photography, if they playing a video game, I come into their world and I give my attention to what they're doing, so they will feel appreciated and paid attention to.
Mm-hmm.
That's real big. I listen and I let them be them. I let them be them. I don't I'm not as old school as I came up with my kids. I want them to be able to be whoever they are around their friends. I
Mm-hmm.
need you to be like that with your father because you'll say anything around your friends. I need you to be able to say anything around me.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that that worked for me in my house with my oldest. My oldest is able to tell me things that if I wouldn't have switched gears, he would never come to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in some ways, I think those, I'm not a parent, so I don't give parent advice or anything, but I think
Right.
sometimes the teen years are even more critical than the little kid years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I kicked myself, but I didn't know. And I'm gonna tell you something. I like to put it like this, Mickey. The bloodline is getting better. My bloodline is getting better. So my father was a better father than his father, even though he missed it a lot. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a better father than my father, even though I missed it a lot. And my son is gonna be a better father than me, even though I know he's going to miss it in some places. So,
Mhm.
and that's how I'm looking at it. So it gives me comfort because we're all working to be better. Yeah.
Right, right. And that's all there is. It's like,
That's all we do. That's all we
yeah,
do.
yeah.
It, um, there's a guy in Henderson, North Carolina by the name of Gerard. He's a hairstylist, and this my word. If he saw me twice in one day, he would pull me aside and say, "Hey man, make sure you spend time with your kids. Hey man, don't let the time go by fast. Spend time with your kids." And I thought I was doing what he was trying to verbalize, but he couldn't verbalize it the way he was seeing it because he had experienced it. So when
Mm,
he was speaking to me, I'm like, man, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. I'm good. But then once I dropped the ball, I said, this is what he was trying to communicate to me,
right, right.
and I think I was too young of a father of a father and too busy as a barber to catch on.
Mm, yeah. All of that is deep. All of that is really deep. So
Well,
we
you
appreciate
don't take me down there because I got a book on that. Yeah.
it. Okay. Yeah. Well, I want to cycle back for just a second into where you were saying you thought that what your role was to be the provider.
Yeah.
And so what did that look like in your mind? Because you said you felt like, you were the father that you wanted to be or thought that you
Right.
should be,
Mm-hmm.
but you were
Yeah.
based on providing.
So people are products of their environment, and a lot of people say that there are no excuses. You should have. I want to create a T-shirt that says "You should have should die." You know what I'm saying? You should have should die because that's not fair to say in most cases.
Mhm,
What's the word? Proclivity. Proclivity, the tendency to, due
mhm,
to your environment. If I'm in a broken home and my father is not there, and I think a family unit should look a certain way, if I exceed what my father was doing, I feel like I won. I feel like I accomplished the goal. Like I'm the first one to do it.
mhm,
So you think you've arrived. I thought because I was providing, I had arrived. I thought because my marriage is intact, my family unit is together, and because my parents' family unit had broke up when I was 9, I thought I had succeeded, and
mhm,
that's not true. You know what I'm saying? A family unit is a very sensitive, delicate, precious project that's placed in your hands, and you have to figure out how to maneuver and grow and foster this unit
mhm,
as a member of it, one of the leading members. And notice I say one of the leading members
mhm,
because I don't look at myself as the head of it. My wife got just as much input, just as much influence. She's way more intelligent than I am. So what do I look like saying I'm the head of it? No, we do it together. So as one of the leading members, I was dropping the ball, and I found out the hard way. I think I found out early enough to salvage, but
mhm.
I did a lot of damage because you think you're supposed to raise your kids this way. You think you're supposed to be rough with your kids and fuss with your kids to save them from some of the evils in the world, and really all you're doing is damaging them on the inside.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, so
Yeah. And I don't think there's any such thing as a perfect parent. And, it's like it doesn't come with a manual and all of that. And it does take a village in a sense, like you
it
were
does.
saying,
It does.
getting these messages and stuff from folks, pulling your coattail and saying things. I think that's powerful.
Absolutely. I tell you this, if I was just having children now, I would be probably in the top 10 of best fathers in the world. Out of 76 billion people, I'd
Yep.
be one of the best fathers in the world, top 10, if
Yeah.
I was just having children. Because I'm older and I understand a lot more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But everything has its pluses and minuses, you know. So, and you get what you got.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So thank you for that because I think that it really blessed somebody that's hearing it and that somebody
absolutely.
got a whole new like, ooh, let me stop and think about that for a minute. And
So
so,
before you move on, if we end in that, my advice to any young father or mother would be really, really, really pay more attention to your kids than you do anything else. If you
mm,
do that, you'll probably hit the mark every time. But
Hmm.
don't neglect your kids' emotional needs. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Really pay attention to them.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's fabulous advice, probably for so much of the of the
Industry.
world. Yeah, like the whole family unit, like you say. But
Mm-hmm.
like with your saying to pay more attention to their emotional health, it's like, did you go through any process for yourself as far as like your own emotional health? Because I think, as parents, we probably pass down what we know.
Right. I just started to realize I need a therapist. I need somebody I need to talk to. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because when you come up in certain environments, certain things become normal. It's
Hmm.
normal, so it's not an issue. You know what I'm saying? You see this,
Right.
you've been through it. This is kind of what life is like. But after moving out of the environment that I grew up in, having a chance to monitor and watch my kids grow and watch what they deal with, and me just being intentional about being a better person, a better barber, a better father, better husband, just a better man, I realized I need to sit down with somebody as well.
Hmm.
Because we all, depending on where you come from, there are some traumas, you know what I'm saying, that we thought were normal, but that stuff did some damage, man. Did some
Yeah.
damage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm definitely learning more about trauma and even how it gets passed down through the DNA. So it's like we got trauma, we don't even know what it is, but it's affecting the decisions that we make and the way that we move in the world or don't move in the world.
Let me share this with somebody out there listening real quick who got that old school mentality, and we can debate about it later, whoever. But my dad whooped me one time in my life. I'll never forget it. And he told me this. He said, "I'm gonna whoop you till I get tired." And he said, "I'm gonna whoop you again until I get tired." And he did it. I mean, he
Hmm.
literally did that. And I definitely was, he had my attention, right? But I took that mindset, and I had my youngest son so afraid of me, Mickey.
Mm.
And mind you, I cut hair every day. I'm gone. I'm cutting hair all the time. So when you see me, it's not that often. And I had him so afraid of me that uh, when he was a little younger, that you know, when I speak to him, he would wet himself
Mm.
because he was so afraid of me.
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
trauma that I received, I
Right.
passed it on down to my kid. And when I seen that, I didn't want that. That's not what I wanted. I just want you to respect me and reverence my voice. But I didn't know it had did that. And so when I seen that, I knew I had to reevaluate how I approach my family. You learn how to do a fade, you learn how to do an edge up, you learn how to sell products, you learn how to do some platform work. Well, what type of energy are you putting into learning how to parent, you know,
Mm.
effectively? Think
Right.
about it. We put more time here, and
Mm.
over here it's being neglected.
Right.
And then the
Right.
families break up. It's a lot. So yeah,
Yeah.
somebody take that what I just said, man, and reevaluate how you approach your babies, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Men and women. It's like that's real. Yep. It
Yeah.
does get passed on. Wow. This is good. This
Yeah.
is
I'm trying not to say too much because I can talk a little bit, but yeah, I'm not. I'm waiting for you. I'm gonna wait for you. Usher me in.
yeah, well, it's like this is what we're here for. So it's like if you have more to say, we're definitely open to listening because
Cool.
you're
Ben. Well, then let
real.
me say this. Cool. Well, let me say this on that note real quick, and I won't say nothing else about this right here. I really realized I was in error when I was reading Frederick Douglass' narrative, and he told a story about how the overseer was beating his auntie, and how he ripped her dress open so that her back was exposed, and he tied her hands up with rope and threw the rope over a beam and pulled the rope until her feet came off the ground and her toes barely touched the dirt. And he took a whip and gave her 29 lashes across the back. And as he hit this woman across her back would open up and bleed. And as it bled and she screamed, he would yell, "Shut up, you damn bitch. Shut up." But the
Mm,
more he screamed, "Shut up," the more he swing. The more he swing, the more she gets hit. And the more she cries out. So it never stops. And this is my word. And my mama know we all are guilty, or we come up in that environment. That was passed down to us. And I used to get whoopings, and I would hear kids say, and I've said, and it's been said to me, shut up. Why are they whooping you? They say, shut up, shut up, shut that fuss up. Why are they whooping you? Where you get that from? What happened to tenderness and teaching the kid how to move instead of beating the kid? You just beating the kid. Man, somebody screwed us up. They screwed us up, Mickey.
Yeah.
They screwed us up. So now I practice tenderness with teaching and love. And I know for a fact, as I continue to teach you as you get older, you will take heed to what I say. It's foolish of me to think that I could teach a 12-year-old, this is how it's supposed to go, and he do it immediately. That's not how life works.
Right.
It's for later. I understand that now.
Yeah.
You know, so enough of that. I ain't saying nothing else about that, Mickey.
Yeah, but I find I just want to piggyback off of what you just said, because I find that I've been a salon owner, and I've trained a lot of people, and it's like one of the things that salon owners get frustrated with is that they're having to say the same things over. It's like we all learn by repetition, so it's like we don't get it on the first time. It's how we learn our ABCs. It's like we repeat them over and over again. And it's like, as a parent, every parent knows, it's like, if you tell your child to wash the dishes, it's like, chances are they're not running on in there to wash the dishes. You might have to tell them again.
Absolutely. That's it. That's a good point. A great point. I'm going to use that actually, because that's the absolute truth. And when I said something to you earlier about how real life will expose BS, I think that's a real life principle and example that exposes some of the excuses we make for being so rough with our babies.
Yeah, and it's detrimental. It's because I think the definition I've been gaining of trauma is that it causes you to be less than who you authentically are, and that's kind of where we started the conversation this evening. And so it helps you pull back a little bit, like you were saying, your son is like, okay, well, I don't want to do anything that might, be the upsetting thing, but it's like that also hinders, maybe doing, something artistic or doing a flip or something like that may help them, just with self-expression and confidence and all of those kind of things. Yeah. So I'm glad we're digging in here. So yeah, and I don't know if we have questions from people. It's like, I think I have it set up so that the comments are here. And actually, I'm wondering if I did something right. I might not have. I don't see anything coming in from the Facebook places. So it may be too late, and they may not be getting this. I may have to post it in there so we can get, but I don't know about. Yeah, we usually get a lot of comments and activity from there, and I'm like, I'm still learning this, guys, so bear with me.
It's all good.
Yeah. So, but I love what you're sharing, and it's like that's what I wanted to kind of dig into is like, what's the real behind? It's like so many of us in the beauty industry are parents. Some single parents, some. Many female, and definitely some male, and then trying to balance all of this stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of studying that needs to take place. It's a lot of sitting at the foot of people like myself and others who've been through it and messed up and can share some jewelry with some of the younger people coming up so that they can make different decisions and contribute to the bloodline. And I'm gonna say the bloodline of the beauty and barber industry being better, like especially being better parents. You know what I'm saying? Because we can get lost in our craft and just neglect them so much, and before you know it, your kids are adults. Right. And then they'll tell you about yourself after they get older. Be like, well, mom and dad, you were never there. You won't do. So just trying to avoid those mishaps. A great example is my business partner. He goes by the name of Udi. And I dropped the ball. I meant to have a copy of his book so that I could show. He just finished his book, 13 Years of College. But he's 39, I believe, about to turn 40. And I think he's just the best father in the world. And his son is about 3 years old. But he did 13 years in prison. He's always strived to get as much education as he can. And through education, he got exposure. His father situation was similar to mine. Our fathers got caught out there on crack early, so it kind of messed that up. You know what I mean? And we just faced certain challenges. But he learned so much before he had children that he gives his son all the tenderness, attention, the teaching, the affirmations, the confidence.
Right.
I love it. I love it. But he was ready when he had a son.
Right.
And it makes a huge difference coming up in the environment we come up in, being young, having children. It's a bad mix when you're young, coming from where we come from, having kids.
Yeah. But
Having kids young.
Yeah. And like I was saying, it's like there's definitely, I don't think, any perfect parents. I think whoever your parents were, you're probably still going to need therapy at some point, you know. but but one of the things I did, it was a class I did quite a few years ago now, but it was something that really stood out to me because it's like we carry stuff from our parents. We, you know, may have various relationships with our parents at, you know, and at different stages of our lives, obviously. But one of the things that they did, maybe 200 people or so in the room, maybe a little bit more, but they asked everybody that was between 19 and 24 to stand up. And, you know, this was at least 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. So, you know, most of us that were a little older are looking around like, okay, all these little babies are kind of standing up. And they were like, you know, when you're having difficulty, like figuring out, like dealing with your parents and that type of thing, it's like, this is the age that most of your parents were when they had you.
Oh, yeah. That's it. That's that age.
Yeah. And it was really profound just seeing everybody and how young they looked. And I wasn't that much older than them, but it was just like, wow, it's like, this is this little, almost, you know, teenager person that's like now a parent, you know, so.
Yeah. I don't recommend it for my kids. I tell them if I were you, I would wait till I was in my late 20s, but or early 30s, you know, but to each his own,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So.
But the upside of it is that the industry has allowed me to be there in certain important moments, you know, because I can control my own schedule.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't miss certain things at a certain point in my career. I ended up making and attending most of the special moments, you know. So that is a plus of the industry. I can say, you know, for having kids. And as I got older, as I started realizing how much I was screwing up, I took advantage of my clientele, my influence, my skill set, and I started stacking my books so that I can make certain events. I stopped working Saturdays so that I wouldn't miss any more of my son's wrestling matches. You know, for some reason in our mind, we think that because I make the money, my kid is okay with me not being there. It's not true.
Not true.
They want you present, you know.
Yeah. And plus, I think one of the beauties of our business is that we do get to create our own schedule.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think it's like, oh my God, I have to be there on Saturday. And I have a friend, she was a single mom, and she never worked Saturdays when her kids were young. It's like they went to the museum and the park and the, you know, the roller coasters and all that kind of stuff. It was, you know, family time. And then she still supported them, you know, as a single parent without working Saturdays. So it's like, we don't have to do some of the things that we've told ourselves that we have to do.
Absolutely. And that's the truth. That's the truth.
And I think we're seeing it. And I'm getting a message from Dewana. They're not on live on the Facebook page. Thank you for letting me know, Dewana. I think I goofed it up somehow. So, and I don't think I can change it while we're on. So I'm going to have to post it in there. So I'm sorry, guys. My whole group's going to be like, what in the world? Where is it? But yeah, it's like, I think even with COVID happening and, you know, everybody got shut down. And then when we go back, you can only have one person at a time. You got to sanitize or sterilize the whole salon in between. So it's like it cuts down, you know, you can't double book. You can't have folks waiting. I think John last week was talking about, you know, there's no waiting room or whatever. You got to do appointments in terms of the barbers. And I think that's some positive stuff that's coming out of it. If we can see how to monetize it, which I've shown quite a few people how to do that, how to make more than you were making before working all these hours. And some people are like, I'm absolutely never going back,
Right. Yeah. I had to adjust my prices, and still, because of the COVID and the sanitary measures, the spacing in between, even
Hmm.
when I took my prices up, it still had me making right at what I was making or a little less.
Okay.
So it definitely we took a
Right.
blow. We took a
Yeah.
blow.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And being off for the time that, everybody was off a different time frame.
Listen,
But
I'm gonna say, I told you earlier that, like, the women, in my opinion, are the 18 wheelers of our culture. Black women. I'm talking to y'all right now. Like, y'all are the 18 wheelers of our culture. You guys carry a lot of loads. And one of the things that my 18 wheeler, my wife, who carries a huge load in our family, she shared with me a long time ago how important it was to have 6 months of your living expenses saved.
mm,
You know, I
hmm.
wasn't thinking in those terms. I just wasn't. I was just making money week to week, supporting my family, like,
Right.
trying to be better than what I saw. And she presented it to the household, and she and I, we achieved that. Like, we strive to do that, so we did that. And sure enough, COVID hit,
Hmm.
and we were able to float for a minute. But I say that to say, like, in our industry, in the schools, in the barber schools, and the cosmetology schools, these things are so important. They need to be taught. Financial literacy is just as important as you learning how to do a relaxer or a edge up or a fade. You have to get it so that
Right.
you can be prepared when tough times come. And it helped us. But as a shop owner, I don't know what the statistics are, but there's a large percentage of Americans who can't survive 2 weeks
Right.
after,
Right.
you know. So I knew what it was. And so, as shop owners, we can't charge nobody. How you gonna charge some barbers or some stylists for booth rent?
Hmm.
Talking
Right.
about, well, you got your own business, you should have, remember, should have, you should have money set aside. Man, this real life. This is
Yeah.
real life. Like, I already know what time it is. So,
Right.
some people get caught with their pants down and all. You own a shop? You own a shop?
Not now. No, I actually
Okay.
stopped doing hair in August, so it's like I didn't have a something to go back to. But yeah, I've owned
Congratulations.
salons, owned salon and spa, and yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, most of the time, I think the margins are pretty slim anyway. And then, like you say, it's like if we don't kind of learn a little bit more about the business, if we don't, structure it so we can put a little bit aside, it's like the reality is, it's like it's just not there.
The
And so,
reality is not there. A lot of our people are not taught. I
mhm,
caught on late in the game, and hopefully next time, if something like this happens, and something like this can and will happen again,
mhm,
people will be better prepared. If it's a young barber listening to me, I would like to say this, man. Like, all the pretty stuff, the cars, the clothes, and all that stuff. I drive a 2004 Toyota Avalon,
mhm,
and no payment. I don't
mhm.
like payment, and I
Okay.
don't care. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care if you don't like my Toyota Avalon.
Okay.
Be me, you feel me? And I don't
Right.
have any payments. I can take that money and put that money up for a rainy day. And I
Mm,
encourage any young person who cannot afford some of this materialistic stuff that you have to make payments on, and you
mm,
don't have money saved, man, change your mindset in that. Save your money until you can pay for it cash.
mhm.
I promise you it'll help your life out a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that's noteworthy. It's like pull out some paper or pull out your tablet and jot that down. I'm gonna do a replay of some of this stuff tonight.
Can I
'Cause-
can I share this with you before you move on? This is a true story. In barber school, one of my students, because of the hype behind my name, he seen me like here and there, and all the guys I was working with, they had Mercedes and BMWs and all of that stuff, man, and they've been in the game longer than me, older and much wiser. And he said, "Chief," he said, "Man, where your whip at?" I said, "My whip outside." He said, "No, I'm talking about the real whip. Where your car at? The real car." I said, man, and this is what I told him, because I'm a husband with 4 kids. My
Right.
wife wasn't working at the time. She
Uh-huh.
didn't work for 9 years. I said, bro, my whip is a 2004 Ford Freestar van. That's
Hmm.
my whip. I have kids. I have a family. I ain't got no big pretty Mercedes riding around. I'm not trying to do that right now,
Right.
and I had to fight pride. I had to
Mm-hmm.
fight pride, but that was my reality and my truth, and I stood on it. And I hope he took a lesson from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 We need more lessons like that because it's like we definitely get the images, especially when I came up. Everybody had the this and the that and whatever, and it's like I've had my share. I'm like, okay,
Hey,
but
watch this. Watch it. Tell me what kind of car do preachers drive? Back in the
Cadillac.
day, what kind? There you go.
Yep.
It's step and repeat. It's trying to be like the next person. You
Uh-huh.
see,
Yep. Yep.
and that principle is the same. It's the same in our industry. Like, hey, look, Mickey Wright got a big pretty Mercedes. I need to get me one too. And
Right.
there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, be able to do
Right. Right.
it. Just be
Exactly.
able to do it. Don't just do it. Be able to do it.
Yeah. Yep. And being able to do it is different than even setting yourself up for future success, and like you say, putting your savings aside and all that kind of stuff, because some of
Mhm.
us, it's like we make enough, so it's like, oh, okay, well, if I make it, then I should go ahead and spend it,
Yeah. Oh, that mindset there. That's a rough mindset to be in, man.
Yep. Yep.
Rough mindset to be in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you're dropping some serious nuggets for us.
I hope
So
I'm not boring you. I hope I'm not boring you, Mickey.
not for 1 second. um So I want to go back to the 18 wheeler because it's like we got to know, like, what is that? How did that come to be? What's that all about?
So the 18 wheelers, like, and I'm speaking from my paradigm, like from what I've seen for the last 42 years and versus what I've been taught. I'm taught all this about a man. A man is this, a man is that. And I like that. But the reality is, because of certain traps set up in life, I say it like that. A lot of the men in my life either ended up in jail, ended up on drugs or alcohol, or dying early because they worked so hard. They left their family behind. And so when these events take place, who steps up and keeps the family afloat? It's big mama, it's mama. You know what I mean? They carry the load. Whatever
Right.
load it is, they tend to carry that load. And that's why I compare the black women in my life to 18 wheelers, because without them carrying the loads they have carried, um, our culture wouldn't be where it is. I'm not dissing men by no means. Like, my father got caught in a trap called crack and alcohol. You know what I'm saying? And he don't mind me sharing this. We talked about it. He said he hoped somebody learned from his mistakes, but he
Mm-hmm.
got caught in that net. And what did that do? That took him out of position in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So now we face to figure out some things on our own because he's too busy getting high.
Mm-hmm.
So who was always there? Mom Dukes. Who
Mm-hmm.
came and got me out the house when I moved out and knocked on the door and didn't say hello or anything, just said, you going to Job Corps boot camp, you take your pick, but you getting up out of here.
Uh-huh.
Big mama carried that load and made sure her son made a different decision.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, that's been my example. Unfortunately, it's been more women than men who have carried the load. And that's why I refer to the women as 18 wheelers. Even in my own house, my wife, when I was working, she had to carry the load of every kid. The kid getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning crying, sore throat, tooth hurting, all the doctor visits, like everything that happened with the kids, it goes through her first.
Right.
I'm like a visitor almost. But why is that? It's because I'm not used to seeing anybody do anything other than the women.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's why I refer to the women as the 18 wheelers. And then on top of that, you guys get less respect.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's more disrespected on the planet than black women. You're not represented well. You're not paid fairly. You can have
Right.
the same job as another man and be more suitable for the job and make less.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So, I support all my people, but I definitely support my women, man, because I see y'all catch a lot of heat. Y'all catch a lot of heat. It's
Yeah.
unfair, and the way people talk about you. Oh my God, the things they call you. What? Why would you say that?
Yeah.
Sheila, what? Would you say that about your mom?
Exactly.
Of course you wouldn't say that about your mom. So don't you say that again,
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of how we get down in the barbershop.
Yeah, and like we're talking about, the barbershop and the language and all the different stuff, it's like, what do you think that does, the names and the representation and all that kind of stuff to the relationships between men and women in our community? Because I think that's such a huge factor, of a lot of the challenges that are in our culture.
Absolutely. And I think it's something that our culture between now and 2021, we need to deal with it. I think there's a group of women out there whose knowledge is limited in this area. So they receive these type of labels and titles that men have put on them,
Mhm.
right? They are answer to the bitch and the whore and all of these things. And there's another group of women who value themselves because of exposure, because they had somebody telling them how much they were worth, because they've traveled, because they've read books and they know like, hey, you can't talk to me that way.
Mhm.
That group of women ain't going for it, but it's another group that'll go for it, which just adds more fuel to the
Right.
men who say these things. And one thing I like to cuss. I love to cuss. Like I do. I love it. I like expressing myself that way. And I do it when it's time. But one thing I would not do is call a woman the B word, a bitch. And the reason I would not, again, is from me studying history and listening to Frederick Douglass say that this white man called his auntie a damn bitch while he was beating her. The page before that, Mickey, the page before that, he said that he acknowledged that his people came from Africa. You can't convince me that black men were calling black women bitches in Africa.
Right.
They were not. So anytime a black brother referred to a black woman as a bitch, that's a white man speaking through you. You ain't even being yourself. You
Woo.
saying what he said. You
Uh-huh.
see, but they don't see that. They don't see that. A class
Right.
would have to take place for them to connect the dots, or some reading, some exposure through reading would have to take place for them to connect the dots. So that's why when these things are said in the barbershop, I bring up these type of points.
Mhm.
You can
Yeah.
continue to say what you want, but this is why I don't do it.
Right, right. And I think it's so important as a black man to have those conversations with other black men, that no one
Absolutely.
can do it. A black woman can't do it, a white man can't do it, a white woman can't do it. It's like if they don't get it from someone that they, respect, like has that bass in
Right,
their voice,
right,
who has
right,
some
right.
knowledge and trying to share something with them to make them better, that,
Absolutely. It
yeah.
kind of goes back to like I was sharing with you, Frederick Douglass, and I quote him a lot because I find his narrative so fascinating. But he
Mhm.
said that it was the agenda to obliviate a black man's ability to think. They don't want you to be able to think. They don't want you to be able to critically think about things because if
Right,
you can't think, it's easy for me to get over on you and keep you in a position where I could dominate. But once you start thinking, you
right.
become a factor. And so that's my position in the barbershop is to spark thought or to promote thought in a place or an area where it's been dead in your life for years. I want to
Mhm.
make your wheels turn. And that's been my position in the barbershop since I was 19 years old. Yeah.
Mhm. Right, right. And that sounds like it's attracted a lot of clients, in addition to your skills and your talents and
Mhm.
everything.
It
But it's
has. It
that
has.
loyalty and that, like, oh, I got to go for my, almost like a sermon. It's like, I got to go and
It
get the
is.
message.
It is. It really is like that. And I didn't know it would be like that, but it really is like that. I got clients that, as soon as they sit in the chair, they open up. They open
Right,
up. And it's like, I actually thought about going to school to try to become some type of therapist or counselor because we play that role so much.
right.
You know what I'm saying? But we haven't been taught on it. We just going off of life experience and information that we've received. But the people need it. Our people need it because we in some screwed up situations here in the beautiful, the beautiful America. We in some serious situations.
Yeah.
I wanted to show that to you. You see that?
Yes.
You see that fist?
Uh-huh.
And you see that the beautiful flag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see. What's
Eight
that? What that say?
846. Is that right?
846. That's how long. That's how long the cop Derek had his knee on
Mm.
Brother George Floyd's neck. And you
Mm.
know, to a lot of the world, this flag is so beautiful and so prestigious. But to a lot of our people, the flag becomes a chain. It
Mm.
becomes a chain once it reaches us. You see
Mm.
what I'm saying? And
Yep.
that's what this right here represents, this painting here. And unfortunately, a lot of us in our communities, we come up in a way where that's a whole nother segment. But you feel me? We come up in a way, man, where we change in our thinking. We
Right.
don't think. We don't think about certain things, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's sad, but you know, we getting better. Things are getting better, Mickey. Things are getting better. I believe. I believe things are getting better. Yeah.
Yep. Well, keep sharing your wisdom, but one head at a time. Is like, because that's really the way that change can happen. It's like if
One person at a time.
one client, takes a look at how they're parenting and says something different, if they, speak a little bit more respectfully to the woman in their lives
Absolutely.
and all of that starts, to have a chain effect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my barbershop and myself, we play a huge part in changing young brothers' mind and how they treat our women. I think
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah. And I think that's key to having a good family. It's like,
It is. It is. It is. Um, my family would have been fell apart if I treated my wife the way I've seen some of the women in my life be treated. You know, and that's part of the reason I decided to have a family and not break my family up. You know, I
mhm,
travel a lot. I travel a lot. Every city I go to, and like asked you before, like how real can I be? Like it ain't a brother on earth love women more than Eric Chi. I love women. No,
mhm,
like I love y'all, right? But I have one wife, so I made a commitment to my wife.
mhm,
So I shouldn't go against those commitments, right?
right.
It's not an easy task, but I stuck to it and I stick to it because I've seen so many families that were dear to me break up. And
Mhm,
that's a dreadful thing for a little kid's family unit to break up. And I never wanted to do that to my family. So to all you young barbers out there who decide to take on a family, man, like if you commit to that woman and you get out here in this barber game and you start traveling,
mhm,
do not give in to the temptation, man, because I'm
right.
telling you, you will pay for it in a dreadful way if
Right.
you do so. So do whatever you got to do to get that monkey off your back, but do not get with that woman if you got a wife at home, brothers. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. You
That's
know,
wisdom
that's for real.
speaking.
Huh?
That's wisdom speaking.
Yeah, man, don't you do that. Don't do that. As rough as it is, don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mickey.
The temptation is real out there. So, but I wanna just thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping it real. Thank you for all the nuggets that you dropped, because I know that some lives are going to be changed because of it.
Hope
So
so. I hope so. I hope so. I really
yeah.
hope so. And I hope you get some feedback and you can share it because I think these are some topics in our industry that some for whatever reason it seems taboo. It's talked
Mhm.
over. And maybe it's not talked over. Maybe it's just certain individuals in the industry who are positioned to talk about these things. Maybe I'm just one of them. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think, it's like we learn in school for sure. It's like you don't discuss politics and you don't discuss sex, and almost nothing in between, in the salon and in the barber shop. And I know, like being on those calls, I told you, the Zoom meetings, it just hit me how much or how little, I guess, that we share experiences as far as, anything, that happens within the industry. And it's like, this is kind of to me like when you see something, say something, how they have it
Right.
at the airport. It's like when we
Right.
see things going down. We need to address it. It's like we need to put some things on the table that we haven't talked about. I know, just for myself, it's like I just, suck it up and keep it moving. I don't even address it, but that trauma is there, and that, all of those things are there and they build up. And that's kind of what it felt like, is that there was just kind of this eruption of, okay, no, we can't do this anymore like this.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You familiar with Chavez?
Chavez, tell me.
Chavez Newman in Ohio?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
He had a brother come in his shop ready to commit suicide, and he came to get a haircut so that when they find his body, he wouldn't look so bad. And do you know that brother is a barber today?
Mm-hmm.
Because Chavez Newman opened up, shared real life experiences with them, probably talked about things that were taboo, and it saved that man's life. We need to do more of that in the barbershop, in my opinion. So I'm with you in that respect. Like, we need to open up more and start having these dialogues. And we talked about that in the barbershop as well. Mickey, who wrote the book that tell us not to do these things? Who wrote the book, right? How come I can't talk about this? Think about it. And let me say this too before we go. People, go vote, please. Like, just please exercise your right to vote. We got 8 weeks before the election. Go vote. They tell us not to talk about these things in the barbershop. Do you know in the Black community, there's a huge majority of people who it was passed down to? I ain't going to vote. What am I going to vote for? My vote don't count. Man, you got to talk about this stuff in the barbershop so you can get these people thinking differently.
Absolutely. Yep. We used to have registration cards and stuff in our salon, so people could come in. If you weren't registered, take a registration form. And we're barbershops and salons, our community. It's like, this is our community, and we need to be having a stake in it. And it's like, we've got the major elections are coming up with the president and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, the ones that really make the difference, the judges, the local people. Like, what's going on? Who's running the sheriff's department? Who's running these things that are affecting you getting pulled over, and what happens to you after you get pulled over? Those are the ones we really need to be paying attention to. So,
and see, it goes back to that word I used earlier, proclivity. A tendency to, you're most likely to, because of. And in our community, like, watch this. Finish this sentence for me, please. Just play along. We do this in the barbershop periodically. What you don't know won't
hurt you.
Okay, so stop right there. Do you know how that entered into our community?
No, but it sounds kind of retarded when you kind of like backwards when you hear it like that. Yeah.
Hey, listen. 1708, 2 white men in the yard, 3 black guys in the yard working. There's a book on the porch. One of the black men said, "Man, boy, I sure wish I knew what was inside that book." White man said, "What you say, boy?" "Oh, I didn't say nothing, boss." He said, "No, say it again." He said, "I just said I wish I knew what was in that book." Then the white man goes, "Watch this, fella. Hey, boy, you don't need to know what was in that book, because what you don't know won't hurt you." And we say that repeatedly in our community. Right. And I say that to say, when you hear a black person say, "I ain't going to vote," what am I going to vote for? Same thing. So it's our position in the barbershops and in the salons, that when we hear these things, we understand where it comes from, and we have to combat it. And Mickey, the reality is, it might cost you a client. It might cost you a client.
Yeah.
But, like, what weighs more? What weighs more at the end of the day?
Right.
Me marketing voting, or me letting this brother spew that foolishness out in the barbershop and let a young man hear that. Nobody came up against it, and now he goes home to his homeboys and said, "Man, I ain't vote. What am I vote for?" That's how young people do. "I ain't vote. What am I vote for?" I heard somebody say that at the barbershop. No.
Right.
We gotta stand up.
Yeah, I think that's really like stepping into our power as far as what we do. It's like, we talk about the lack of respect that we get, but it's like, we have so much influence and so much potential to influence that, that we've got to recognize that for ourselves and say, okay, let's like, no, let's have some other conversations. And it doesn't have to be, as dramatic as, Chavez, I think you said, with saving a life for someone who was about to commit suicide, but what are we doing to save lives for the living?
Absolutely. That's
Some
a
of
great
us
way to put it.
are not really living, not really participating or whatever, because, you know, what we don't know won't hurt us kind of thing.
Right, right. And you know, unfortunately that's the position we in. That's the position our culture is in. And you know, a little bit adds up to a whole lot. So you doing a little bit, me doing a little bit, a rapper doing a little bit, a singer doing a little bit, an actor doing a little bit. It adds up to a whole lot, you know, in some of our people's lives and our lives. You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly.
so
Absolutely. Well, this has definitely been a pleasure. So thank you so much.
I hope
And
so. I hope so. Yeah.
yep, absolutely. And I want to thank everybody that's seeing this. I know some of you will be seeing it on a replay since we didn't get it onto the Facebook part. But I also want to invite everybody to join us for the next few episodes. This is, like I said, Barber Month. And it's like next week we actually have a legend, our first legend that we're going to have. We'll have the legend series. Hopefully I'll be able to put it all together for October. But Barry Fletcher is going to join us next week. And
Barry Fletcher. Yes, ma'am, a legend.
yes,
Yes, ma'am.
the GOAT is like,
Absolutely.
yeah, he's done so much
OG.
in our industry and for our industry that it's like I can't wait to sit down with him and have some conversations about all the different things he's done in our industry and done through the years. And it's just called kicking down the doors in beauty, because it's like he's been a groundbreaker all the way through his whole career. So he'll be here next week, our first legend. So I'm excited about that. And then Kimberly Coleman is a barber. She's a Black female, which is not all that common that we have female barbers, but she's a Black female barber, and she works on Capitol Hill for the Senate. She cuts hair. And so we want to hear those secrets behind what's going on there.
Wow.
How she got started with it. And yeah, I can't wait. And she's a phenomenal person. So I can't wait to sit down and chat with her. And then rounding out the month is Gerard Holloway. Do you know Gerard?
That's my brother. We went to barber school together.
We did together. Okay, wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Barber school together. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a barber educator. It's like he's skin expert. He tells a lot of grooming tips for young men in the industry and outside of the industry. And he's been involved with a lot of like fatherhood projects and that type of thing to help young men become better fathers and better men. And so it's
A1 brother. We also taught at the same barber school. We went to the same barber school, and then we ended up teaching like 15 years later at the same barber school. So,
wow.
Yeah, A1 brother, man. Yeah, he's somebody I can call on.
Yes. Yeah. It's like he's always been impressive to me, and I can't wait to sit down with him. And his topic is all around grooming and growing men. So
he's A1. You're gonna be in for a treat with Gerard, because he got it. He got it. You know what I'm saying? He got it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, you guys mark your calendars. Tuesdays at 7. Join us here. It's like I said, subscribe on YouTube and ring the bell. We're gonna have this on a podcast because some people are like, "Oh, I don't think I can sit still for that long to watch it." It's like you can listen. And you can press the rewind when Eric says something and you're like, "Oh my God, what did he say again?" It's like, so we are going to have that coming up soon. Because some of that stuff is like, woo, we had some good stuff tonight. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, whether you're joining us. It's like, looks like I have some interruption here, but it's all good. Thank you.
Time to get on.
It appears that way.
Yeah, been on too long. Yeah.
But it's like this is definitely a pleasure. It's like I love connecting with people in our industry. I love Black artists and celebrating them. It's like I think we don't get celebrated enough. And being able to take us kind of backstage, kind of behind the scenes, and give us that kind of bird's eye view, because sometimes people see you on stage, they see you at a show and they think one thing. It's like, who is this person? So I appreciate you breaking it down for us.
We got a saying at my house that my 18-wheeler taught me. My wife taught me this. She said, don't get to know your hero. Sometimes it ain't good to find out who that person is behind the field. You might be like, oh no, he said that. I can't believe he. Yeah, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. But so I know for a fact you inspired some folks tonight. So
I thank you for having me, Mick. I really appreciate it. It was an honor and a pleasure to be on your platform and converse with you this evening.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So everyone have a fabulous evening. You guys take good care, and I'll see you next Tuesday with Barry Fletcher. So mark your calendars, tell your friends that we're going to have a great thing, and we're going to put it all on all the platforms. I will promise that. So everybody can join us. So everybody take great care. I'll see you soon.
Take it easy, Mickey. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
All right.